So this is Elijah. I'm doing module 8. So basically the assignment says to use the internet, find some examples of organizations that have recently failed, and discuss how poor decision making played a role. And it says Arthur Andersen and some of the .com grocery companies might be a good example, and what cognitive biases could have contributed to the problems, and contrast this with successful companies such as Amazon and Microsoft. So the company I decided to research was the company called Enron. And I'm gonna give you some background information about the company named Enron. It was founded in Houston, Texas in around 1985. It's basically an energy company. And Enron, the energy company, the main goal was to trade extensively with energy derivative markets and make money off that. So like the markets they would give the company energy and the market would just get them just money back and everything. So so what happened was in the early, I believe it was 2001, Enron got a scandal and they became very notorious because of this scandal, the scandal that they had. What was basically happening was the higher up employees, basically the executives, they were falsely inflating the revenue of Enron. What this basically means is they were basically lying about how much money the company was making, which is very illegal because all businesses have to give back statements about how the company's doing and the profits that they make, if they lost any money, and they just give that to the government so the government can understand how to tax the corporation and everything. So what they're basically doing was inflating the revenue, which is obviously illegal. The main person who was accused of the whole thing is a man named Arthur Andersen, and he's very notorious because of this huge scandal. What the company was doing was not ethical at all. It was obviously illegal and it's not right to do. They were basically just lying to everyone about how good the company was doing. So when I first read this case, it actually reminded me of the Wells Fargo case. I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with it. I do believe that we touched on it in a couple sections ago, but I'll restate it again. What happened was Wells Fargo, they were making illegal accounts for their customers, and they were making their employees do that, and like they were also just giving the employees like impossible sales goals that were not even possible. And basically what that happened, and Wells Fargo had a huge scandal because of that, because not only was it not ethical, but it is also illegal to make accounts for customers that don't want the accounts. On the contrary, on the positive side, companies like Amazon, as you said, Microsoft, Walmart, they don't do any of these things. They don't inflate their revenue at all, and instead they give clear, accurate information about how their business is doing, no matter how good or bad the business is doing. They always explain what they're doing, and they give clear information about what they're going to do moving forward and everything. And then personally, I believe that in order to be a successful business, there are no shortcuts that you can take, and you shouldn't do everything. You should do everything in the correct way, and things might just go your way. I know in my last class, this is just another example. In my last class, I learned about a man. His name is Gautam Adani, and he was considered one of the wealthiest people around 2022. And in the year 2022, people like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, they were all losing money. Like all the top 5 richest people in the world were losing money except for him. He actually gained, I think it was around $50 billion in that year alone. And it raised a lot of questions on how he gained that much money, especially in the year 2022 because of COVID and everything. And it turns out he basically was doing something very similar. He was like hiding the documents that he was having and like the stocks. So no one really understood how he gained all that money in such a quick time. And he obviously got into a lot of trouble for that. And that's another example of a very big scandal. In conclusion, I just feel like in order to be successful, you have to do things correctly, and there aren't any shortcuts to being successful. And if you do things the correct way, you might not always be successful, but at least you know you're doing things in the correct way and you're being very ethical about it. Thank you.